And I've seen a lot of incidents into that first corner. There's the grid then. Massa looking for a repeat victory after last year. Hamilton, his 12th front row start of the year. Raikkonen has been off the front row on 12 occasions this season as well. Qualifying has not been his great strength. Rather under the weather, Fernando Alonso, a little bit gloomy yesterday after qualifying. He knows that the dice are pretty much loaded against him as things stand, and just doesn't seem to have the speed in him. His spirit seems to have gone down a bit. I don't know why. Webber in 5th place, best of the season for him. Heidfeld and Kubica will always be strong in the BMW. David Coulthard, he's been very strong at the end of this season in the Red Bull. Into the second half of the grid, Rubens Barrichello still looking for his first point in 2007. Jenson Button down in 16th. He can't wait to get this season over with, and I'm told that his mechanics have strapped a cigarette lighter into the cockpit of his car, as if to say, at the end of the race, chum, be our guest, set fire to the car. It's been such a disaster this year.
Ferrari will be lighter on their tyres, probably have a better fuel strategy, and are the team to beat this afternoon. Something Alonso said in the press conference here, yeah, I've won the championship twice here, but I was always ahead when I arrived at the track. I'm behind this year, and his chin certainly does seem to have dropped a little bit. Everything is okay, Lewis, means your tyres are up to temperature. They're reading this all out in the pit lane.
Okay, Massa is on what will be your left. Hamilton will be on the dirty side, nearest to the pit wall on the right-hand side. The grid is ready. You can see Massa on your left, Hamilton on the right. Watch out for the men going behind. No lights at the top. Here we go. Massa goes across. Hamilton covers, and Raikkonen looks like he's gone around the outside of it. Mark Webber has had a wonderful start. Can he get past Fernando Alonso? Little bit of a moment there for Raikkonen. Alonso side by side with Lewis Hamilton, and Alonso pushes his way past. That was a hesitant start by Lewis Hamilton, and the net result is that he's got 2 Ferraris and Alonso in front of him. Alonso tries to block. Hamilton looks desperate here.
Oh, Lewis is trying to fight Alonso, doesn't need to do that. He's gone way too deep in turn 4. Now he's in trouble. He's out of sync in terms of the speed of the rest of the pack. Look to wheel going into 4. That'll vibrate massively now until he finishes the Grand Prix, till he makes his next pit stop. Having a fight there he really didn't need to have. But what happened was perfect start from the 2 Ferraris, and Raikkonen already getting the place he needed there. And then Lewis then, with frustration, trying to already get back on Alonso. He should have just followed him through in the early part. Easy to be wise after the event. Now he's got to take risks to pass this lot. Up the hill, down into turn 1. Another chance down into turn 4. Hamilton puts himself under massive pressure. And here we go. This is Lewis then trying to go back down the outside of turn 4. And he will regret that enormously when he sees that back on the video. And he rejoins the track. There then is the Renault of... Oh, that is what happened. It was Fisichella who cut across the grass. Yamamoto didn't appear to see it all going off. And there is the debris on the track. The danger in those instances is particularly because of the debris. The carbon fibre slices these racing tyres apart when they're under so much load.
Well, for those of you who've not followed Lewis Hamilton's career, you've probably got your head in your hands back in the UK. He's in 7th place, and at the moment, as things stand, he's not on target to win the World Championship. There's another look at Hamilton, getting a little bit wild. Once again, that was behind the BMW of Heidfeld just a couple of laps ago, so he really does need to calm down a bit here, Lewis Hamilton. As things stand at the moment, Hamilton and Alonso tied on points, Raikkonen 108, but don't believe that for a second, because of course, here we go, Hamilton up the inside of Heidfeld. Has he made it stick? Yes, he has. A problem for Heidfeld, and Hamilton takes advantage.
Heidfeld went in too deep on the brakes, ran wide, and thankfully didn't slice back onto the racing line. That releases, importantly, Lewis Hamilton with some clear track in front of him. Now he needs to push. The problem is, we know his right front is flat spotted from that braking manoeuvre at the turn 4 on the opening lap. He's had the right rear tyre well and truly off the road through the dirt, and this is an action replay. There's Heidfeld locking his left front as the unloaded tyre, and Hamilton pouncing on that, running a touch wide onto the dirty part of turn 2, but got away with it nicely.
Could even get involved with the McLaren's race, I think, as things unfold. So Mark Webber drops 1 place then down to 4th, Kubica up to 5th, and that means that Webber is now Hamilton's next target. Oh no! Is that Hamilton slowing? It is! The top of the screens! Lewis Hamilton's in trouble! What's happening? His car is grinding to a halt. Is this the end of the World Championship dream for Lewis Hamilton? He's got problems. And it's heartbreak for Hamilton. Everybody is pouring past him. He's trying to get himself to the other side of the racetrack, the safety. This is lap 9 of the Brazilian Grand Prix, and Lewis Hamilton seems to be in some sort of trouble. His engine was cutting out just a few seconds ago. He's got it going again, but a lot of people have passed him. He was in 6th place at the point when his engine started cutting out. It sounds okay now, but I'm just trying to tell exactly where he is in the order. He's been passed by Button, he's been passed by Nakajima Davidson. He is down outside the top 15. He's down, we believe, in 18th place. So it's gone from bad to worse for Lewis Hamilton. Some sort of engine cutout problem in the early stages of that lap. And, well, if it wasn't one thing, it's another for Hamilton. Massa leading, Raikkonen second, Alonso third. And as things stand, it's, well, it's going to be Fernando Alonso who's going to win this World Championship if things don't change. We're on board with Hamilton, scything up the inside of Rubens Barrichello. That's now up into 17th place for Lewis Hamilton. And Lewis can pick these guys off one after the other. Lewis Jensen, in fact, a second ahead of this gaggle, but nevertheless, Hamilton will catch it pretty soon.
Famous last words, but I really don't see anybody until he gets up to the, as Nakajima steams through there on Sato, runs wide. And is that Hamilton up the inside there of Ralf Schumacher? It is indeed. And Lewis Hamilton then is here we go, down into turn 4. So Lewis then has exactly the position he needs for P15. I really don't see anybody up into the BMWs wanting to get involved in the title fight with Lewis Hamilton to take what I think will be 14th place. Here we go, 12th place, for goodness sake. Webber's out, of course,
yeah,
so that's 12th place for Lewis Hamilton.
Yep, he's scythed past Sato. He's got Kazuki Nakajima, who just a moment ago himself passed his fellow Japanese Sato.
Nakajima in his first ever Grand Prix. Let's hope there's not too much mist, red mist going on there. Well, here's Webber, look, pulling out of the Grand Prix.
We had that feature yesterday with you and Mark Blundell showing the different things about overtaking, how you do it, the dummy and the feign and that kind of thing. But what about the psychology of the overtake? Clearly, he's got no casebook on Nakajima. He doesn't know anything about what he's going to do.
Yeah, I don't know if he's even sizing up who it is. It's just another victim. It's one of the enemy, isn't it, right now? Keeping him away from his World Championship.
Massa in.
New fastest lap of the race for Raikkonen then as Massa pits. Raikkonen, of course, would know exactly when Massa was coming in the pits as his teammate.
It's lap 21 of the Brazilian Grand Prix from Sao Paulo, and race leader Felipe Massa emerges from the pit lane. He's handed over the lead then to teammate Kimi Raikkonen, who we think can do a lap or two more than Massa. So it's a decisive moment really for Raikkonen. He needs to put in some quick laps, albeit, of course, that his tyres are pretty worn out now, and Massa will have the advantage of the new fresh tyres, even though he's got a bit of fuel in the car, slowing it down, the extra weight. And in fact, it looks like Ferrari are going to bring Raikkonen in and just a lap afterwards. So I don't think he's going to be able to do enough here to take the lead away from Massa when he rejoins from his stop. Fernando Alonso is still out there, but the big story here is Lewis Hamilton. Started on the front row of the grid. He is down in 11th place after a series of problems, an incident on the first lap with his own teammate that put him off the racetrack. All Lewis's fault, and then a problem with the engine cutting out. He's managed to get going again. He's scything through the field, and let's just hope his car lasts the distance, and then we can see what Hamilton can do. Remember, the World Championship is at stake here as Raikkonen pits from the lead. Where will Alonso be? So Alonso, I believe, has gone through. He has. So Raikkonen coming out. Felipe Massa, his teammate, has just gone past me into turn 1, and you'll be able to see him on your right of your screens. There you are. Slightly slow on the exit there from Kimi Raikkonen, a little bit scruffy on the way out of the pits.
Yes, he nearly overcooked it there, and I think Massa's going to end up with a greater advantage than when that pit stop phase began. The BMW in the background is not going to leapfrog them, out of sync as well with fuel strategy. So Raikkonen rejoins in second place.
As we look at the scene down the pit lane, Toyota's Jarno Trulli pits from 7th place. Interesting to see how much further Hamilton can go. He could really benefit, Martin, from this sequence of pit stops now, because he's very much on the move. And a good stop by the McLaren guys could get him really back into contention. Oh no, it's okay. Pit lane speed limiter. I thought it was another cutout problem on the engine.
It's very slow though, it's very slow, surely.
It is slow, in he comes. No, I think it's just the pit lane speed limiter. Let's hope it is. Ted Kravitz.
But it's the soft tyres, James. So here we go. McLaren are pulling the dice out on this one. They've given Lewis a very short stint. They've given him the very soft, but very quick, but very fragile and delicate soft tyres. He's going to have to pass a load of people right now. It's a short stint, and then he's going to go onto the hard tyres at the end. Interesting stuff. Jenson Button, by the way, lost drive in that Honda.
And Lewis forced it, really, didn't he? Came in, and Rubens, being a much older, wiser head, that a younger driver would have taken Lewis clean out of the Grand Prix there, unquestionably. But he's got to take those risks now. He's got almost nothing to lose now. If he doesn't get up the positions, then the championship is gone. He'll just line himself up for a clean exit of Young Cao to... Oh, he's gone in a little bit deep on the brakes. That's the last thing he needed. So you saw the acceleration there, the concertina effect of the driver in front getting on the throttle that fraction earlier. And now he's left himself the Dan Dare move again down into turn 1. That slight lock of the brake really hurt him badly there. Ted, do you have any news on whether or not...
Oh my goodness me! Oh, the mechanic's been flattened by his driver, Kazuki Nakajima, making his first ever Formula 1 pit stop. I'm delighted to say he looks like he's okay, but he's going to need to get an ice pack on that. He hops out of the way. 35 laps to go in the Brazilian Grand Prix, the final race of the 2007 season. If you like your sport uncomplicated, you're in the wrong place. This is a very hectic race for Lewis Hamilton. He gambled on the softer tyre for a short stint. That means he's going back onto the harder tyre now. The performance of those softs wasn't too bad. It didn't drop off too much, but everyone else is going to have to use them at the end of the race. Let's see if this gamble worked for McLaren. In he comes.
I think... Oh, car's just leaning slightly there. Difficult for the left front to go on, but I think he managed that phase extremely well with the soft tyres, and it'll show up later on when the others have to use them. I don't think they'll be too disappointed with that, but it looks like they're expecting to come in again, doesn't it, from how little fuel they put in the car. But away then goes Hamilton. He's just got to keep passing cars. He's now effectively a lap adrift. And will he... Oh, we got a big crash then for Heikki Kovalainen. Suspect that's at the top of... it's on the exit of turn 3. Remember, he had a lot of contact earlier on the first lap of the Grand Prix. Could well have had suspension failure. They'll easily remove that car from there. Yeah, total suspension failure. Exit of turn 3. And a big impact, but they can move that car quite easily, presumably under double waved yellows. They don't need to put a safety car, I would have thought.
Because for absolutely sure, if Raikkonen can win the World Championship, Massa will allow him through. Big blow up then on the pit straight. We believe it's Rubens Barrichello. His car is being pushed into the garage, and Ted Kravitz can tell us more. Yeah, well, the car's on fire. The Honda is on fire. Alistair Gibson and all the mechanics go at it with extinguishers, and the crowd's faces drop as the local hero, Rubens Barrichello. This means he will not score any points. The first time in his entire career, he has not scored a single point in a World Championship season. He's out of the race.
Yeah, it was going okay until then. Obviously, had a bit of graining on the fronts early in the stint, which we expected a bit. Robert was very quick, so sort of kept the pace after he got past me, and we were going okay to get some good points. Cheers, mate.
Well, Raikkonen needs Massa in the equation here. He needs him to finish behind him, ideally, ahead of Alonso. In the current situation, that would make Raikkonen champion. If anything were to happen to Felipe Massa and Alonso were to finish second, that would make Alonso the world champion. And it looks like Jarno Trulli's got some problems. He's letting the two Ferraris through. I hope that's all it was. Yep, seems to have picked his speed up again. But he really did slow down a lot there for the race leaders. Got right out of his way.
That's coming in for a stop onto those striped tyres. They've left it until Massa in. They've left it until later into the race to hope that the track rubbers in a bit and they don't have such a problem with blistering or graining. In other words, what kills a tyre is spinning and sliding. It's not going around the corners and the sheer speed of these things. when the tyre particularly spins as to when the surface of the rubber does things that it shouldn't.
Back out onto the racetrack, jubilation amongst the 70,000 Brazilian fans here who have come hoping to see a Felipe Massa victory. They've been drumming and chanting and singing his name since about 8 o'clock this morning. Hopefully some of them realise they've got their expectations under control and realise that Ferrari will, of course, have to put Raikkonen in front of Massa in the closing stages if the championship is at stake. And Kimi Raikkonen dives into the pit lane. There he is. So the crucial question now is, where is he relative to Felipe Massa? It's going to be very nip and tuck. Nice stop by Ferrari. There is Massa coming up the hill. This is going to decide the race. Massa across the start-finish line. Raikkonen is already turned left and is going down the hill. You'll see him any second. There he is. Is Raikkonen going to come out in front, or is it going to be Massa? Massa looks like he's got the momentum. A little bit of extra turn to take. Raikkonen is up to speed. He now launches it down the main straight. There is Massa, and that puts Raikkonen in the lead of the race and on his way, would you believe it, to the World Championship. Become world champion for the first time as Lewis Hamilton comes into the pit lane. This is going to drop him back behind David Coulthard, who is currently 20 seconds behind him in 9th place. It'll be nip and tuck with Nakajima and Ralf Schumacher when Hamilton comes out, and that will be for 10th and 11th places. And Hamilton sets off down the pit lane.
Yeah, it's over then, isn't it?
It's over. Coulthard goes through. So too does the Williams.
So Hamilton, the only man then to 3-stop.
It says a lot about Williams that they've managed to finish the season strong this way. It says a lot about Rosberg as well. Fantastic drive by him. As you say though, Martin, it could end in tears. Rosberg runs it up the inside. Absolutely stunning, but he gets a little bit wide, and that lets Kubica through. Kubica makes up 2 places as Heidfeld gets out of shape. Rosberg gets out of shape. Thank you very much, says Robert Kubica. I'll take that 4th place.
Well, that was the collision I was expecting, and they managed to avoid each other. Now, Jarno truly is having a go there at Nick Heidfeld. So Kubica, that worked out perfectly for him. They somehow managed to avoid each other. The big move then by Rosberg. Heidfeld saw it coming, locked to brake. They both ran extremely wide. And thought Rosberg was going straight to the scene of the accident there. Tippy toes around the outside, and away goes Kubica around the pair of them.
Is Lewis Hamilton. Here's Trulli then on the back of Heidfeld, and there's contact there between David Coulthard and Kazuki Nakajima. That's a battle for 9th and 10th places. Nakajima was behind Coulthard, clearly got in front of him. Coulthard then ran up the inside of him.
Yeah, we didn't see how that one shaped up, but DC a bit hot on the brakes there. Did he keep it running? Yes, he did. He's finished that sector, so Coulthard will, I think, maybe Ralf Schumacher crept through there and took 10th place over.
It's hard to take then for the British fans at home. They sat in front of the rugby last night and watched the slow strangulation by the South African team, and here today another British and Englishman going for the World Championship and sliding away from him. 5 laps to go from the finish. Hamilton starting from the front row of the grid, didn't have a great getaway, lost places to both Raikkonen and Alonso at the start. Then he lost a few more when he tried to retake Alonso, but it was really the thing that's really harmed him here is the incident on lap 7 where his engine seemed to cut out, problem possibly with the hydraulics and the gearbox, and he lost 30-40 seconds at that, trying to find a program that would make the car go. Since then he's had pace at times, but clearly to lose that amount of time to your opposition when other drivers like Kubica, Rosberg and Heidfeld are having strong afternoons is too much to ask, and that's the story of Lewis Hamilton's Brazilian Grand Prix of 2007. There is always, of course, next year, and not been great for Formula One, but what's happened on the track has been absolutely perfect.
Bernie Ecclestone said to me on the grid, I think with all the noise and action that was going on, I think he said to me he wanted Raikkonen to win, and he thought Raikkonen would win the championship, didn't he? And this is that battle then between Kubica and Nico Rosberg. Kubica with the racing line, all of them are locked up and holds that position. That is the main scrap out there at the moment.
He's about to come through then and begin his last lap. Teammate Felipe Massa, he did the honourable thing today. He'll be sad that he didn't have a chance himself of the World Championship. Alonso is almost a minute behind the Ferraris. Such has been the domination of the red cars here this afternoon. And then, of course, it's Rosberg, who is without doubt my candidate for driver of the day, when Martin and I discussed that a little later on. Kubica 5th, Heidfeld 6th, Hamilton 7th now, just under 10 seconds behind the BMW. It's been a heck of a storming drive back, considering how much he lost to be just 10 seconds behind Nick Heidfeld, but it's not enough.
Well, those soft tyres are working fine on the Ferrari. The Ferrari's been kind to its tyres all year. Massa sets the new fastest first sector of anybody in the entire Grand Prix on his final lap. Hamilton just 9.6 seconds behind Heidfeld, 11 behind Kubica, nowhere near, unfortunately, where he needs to be.
Massa looks like he's going to try and set the fastest lap of the race on the last lap, as you say. Raikkonen, though, is at the bottom of the hill. It's the big climb up the hill now that will make him the world champion of 2007. He came here 3rd out of 3. He's going away in the lead. He is going to be world champion. Kimi Raikkonen wins the Brazilian Grand Prix. His first victory here, the 15th of his career, and by no doubt the most important. Massa finishes in 2nd place. Alonso is going to come in 3rd, and the dream is over for Lewis Hamilton. And you have to go back to China 2 weeks ago, don't you? You have to look at that decision by the McLaren team to keep Hamilton out on completely worn-out tyres. They tried to finish the job off there in China. If they'd have just brought him in and put him on a new set of boots, he would have gone away with at least 5 and probably 6 points, and it would have been a very different story here this afternoon. But on such things do World Championships turn, and it's turned completely 360. David Robertson, the manager of Kimi Raikkonen, possibly one of the men who knows him best, is now with Louise Goodman.
David, can you believe what's just happened?
Yeah, that's what's happened.
I mean,
he's
when you...
become the champion of the world, which he's always wanted. And bless him, he really deserves it. Kept his mouth shut, just done the job, and out popped the championship. So, to me, he's by far the best driver, the coolest kid in the world. And today was a typical example of what he's all about.